All right, welcome everybody. Thank you so much again for being with us today. This is our civic engagement workshop on how to pass a resolution. And my name is Aliza Cosme. I'm the advocacy manager at CARE San Francisco Bay Area. And I'm going to invite just our staff to also verbally introduce themselves, starting with Hania.
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Hania and I'm an intern this summer with CARE, the government relations intern. I go to school in the Bay Area and I'll go ahead and pass it off to Samina.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Samina Usman. I'm the Senior Government Relations Coordinator for the office. And I think you were saying cities, Santa Clara, and your favorite thing to do? Oh no, is that just in the chat? All right, I'll pass it on to Mohammed.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Mohammed. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for CARE SFBA, and I'm super excited to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. We have such an awesome team, mashallah, and they work so hard in general, and I know that they've been working really hard in preparation for today. So really huge shout out to them all. And thanks everybody for starting to introduce yourself in the chat again with your name, your city, and your favorite thing about summer. It's great to see everyone and meet some new people. And I just want to do a quick land acknowledgement to acknowledge that we are on unceded Ohlone land. And we want to recognize the ongoing legacy of settler colonialism, both here and across the world, and extend our respects to the Ohlone people. And I also want to acknowledge our partners who have really helped us, spread the word about today and are just in general really great collaborators, which include Stanford Muslim Student Union, ICNA Council for Social Justice, the SF Bay Area chapter, Lighthouse Mosque, and MCC East Bay. I see we have Brother Munir here, thank you. And also the Town Hall Alliance. So with that, I want to go ahead and conduct a quick poll as we get started, because we really want to make sure that we are tailoring our workshops to kind of where the community is at. And alhamdulillah, we have such a diverse, community, and everybody has different rich experiences. So this is just a question to kind of gauge for the people who are in our audience today, and it's totally anonymous, so please be honest. How confident are you in bringing people together to shed light on and build solidarity around a cause that's important to you? So you can interpret it, however you want, and just share what you think on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being least confident, and 5 being most confident. Sorry, I should have clarified that. So 1, you're kind of like, I'm new, I'm learning, and 5, you feel really confident. Give it another second. Okay, thank you for that, and we will keep that in mind with the rest of our time together. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Hania to go over the goals for today. Thank you.
Yeah, so again, thanks all for coming today. We hope that by the end of this workshop, everyone here will be able to identify kind of what purpose resolutions have and what role they can play when we're thinking about political organizing in our communities. And that comes along with kind of understanding how we get resolutions passed. And we're going to kind of end today thinking about ways to strengthen current resolutions or think up new ones in our communities. So just keep in mind that today is supposed to be a broad overview, but we will be sending out the slides and a recording along with a guide and sample language for a proclamation afterwards. And if you have any questions or comments as we go through this presentation, please feel free to use the chat. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Samina.
Thank you so much, Hania. So what is a resolution? A resolution is basically an acknowledgement, whether it be by a government entity like a city council or the state of California or county board of supervisors, that acknowledges or celebrates an important event or an issue or a position. Alternatively, your local government might call it a proclamation. And so what does a resolution do? It increases public awareness of the community or an event being celebrated or highlighted. It motivates elected officials to be better allies by putting the event and related issues at the forefront of their minds. I think that this is actually really key because oftentimes, you know, people, I mean, look, I'm going to give an example. You have the Muslim community in Santa Clara. Santa Clara has the largest mosque in California, and that's the MCA. And so when you have passed these type of resolutions, like maybe acknowledging if there's a particular date or a particular, like how many years that MCA has been in institution, it reminds the elected officials, hey, look, we've got a sizable Muslim community right here in your city, and it gets them to think of ways of how to incorporate them into other areas as well. It also will motivate elected officials who are in higher bodies, like to pass things in their jurisdiction as well. So you might have a city council or you might have another entity passing a resolution about a federal issue, and that encourages congressional members to vote in a particular way. Sorry, my cat is about to close my computer. Forgive me. And I think one other added benefit is that it creates the opportunities for community members and community organizations to get together to become better allies with each other. So let me give you an example of a few resolutions that have been passed in the Bay Area. And a number of you might have worked on these particular resolutions. So one of them was that Alameda County, and also actually San Francisco County, had passed a resolution with the South Asian community to condemn Modi's Citizens Amendment Act, and also the National Population Register and the National Register of Citizens in India, which, you know, all of these issues, these amendments that were passed, they were discriminatory against Muslims or caste oppressed minorities, women, indigenous peoples, and other vulnerable populations who were to become stateless or scapegoated or targeted for discrimination. And so to have Alameda County pass this type of resolution in solidarity with the South Asian community, saying that they're condemning these type of these type of amendments that were passed, it collectively, if you have enough cities that do that, it really sends a strong message to India and the Indian government that says, hey, look, this is not acceptable. And indeed, they did hear from the Indian government about this. So they're paying attention. I'll give you another issue that was introduced, or that was considered by the Santa Clara County Human Rights Commission. And what I find very interesting about this resolution is that you had the NAACP who brought up, who introduced this resolution against caste-based discrimination. And so you might be familiar that, especially like in the Bay Area, there have been companies that have been accused of discrimination based on a person's caste. And so it's, what I find, so what they're saying is that we need to factor in caste and have that as a protected class, so that people will not just be protected based on their ethnicity or based on their religion, they're also protected based on their caste as well. And so what I found interesting is that you had a number of organizations, a number of community members from all different backgrounds coming together to speak in support of this resolution. You had about, well, a total of 500 people who attended this hearing. You had about 290 people who spoke about this issue, with 60% of them being in favor of having caste as a protected class. So I just found this as an incredible way to bring together communities of different backgrounds, of different religions, with different issues, but coming together to speak in solidarity about this. I thought that was incredible. And another resolution that was, actually there are multiple resolutions that were passed by a number of Democratic Central Committee groups in support of HR 2590, which is the Palestinian Children and Families Act. Again, we're a 501c3. We can't be in, we're not in speaking in support of any particular political party, but what we're saying is that I found this very powerful, that you had a number of Democratic clubs that were speaking out, that had their members vote in favor of these resolutions that supported HR 2590. And if you have enough jurisdictions that support this particular issue, it definitely sends a strong message to congressional members who are responsible for voting on this particular bill. So it's very powerful. It's a way that other community members can also weigh in and have power in weighing in on this type of issue. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Mohammed to, oh, actually, sorry, not yet. Let me give you another example of different proclamations, and that's the Muslim Appreciation and Awareness Month. It initially got passed by the California State Assembly. It was introduced by Assembly Member Bill Quirk. He had worked with a community member who is Sister Moina Sheikh, who had worked with the Assembly member to encourage him to introduce this resolution. She had reached out to CARE for help with the language, but we were able to get this resolution passed in 2016, and this is our sixth year of having this resolution going. Now, you know, what was going on in 2016? That was, you know, the presidential election, where you had then candidate Donald Trump saying that he wanted to have a total and complete shutdown, so that, you know, to prevent Muslims from entering the US. It was a very politically charged environment, still is, and but to have an Assembly member want to introduce something in support of the Muslim community, it was incredibly powerful at that time. And by the way, he received death threats for doing so. So, you know, it shows like how powerful this type of a resolution is. Now, thereafter, we had then City Council member, San Jose City Council member Ash Kalra. He saw this resolution. He's like, hey, I want to amplify this in the city of San Jose. I want to pass this over here too. And so at the very end of the month, we were able to get a resolution or proclamation passed in support of the state designation of August being Muslim Appreciation and Awareness Month. And that started us thinking, hey, look, let's reach out to other city councils and other jurisdictions to see if they can support this resolution. And it's been passed in about 18 different cities and counties. And also we had the Santa Clara Unified School District that also passed a resolution in support of this month. And multiple cities have passed it numerous times since then. And so it sends a powerful message that these cities are in support of their Muslim constituents, that they recognize what these Muslim constituents bring to the table, how they have improved and have been part of the community, and also recognize the history of the community. And so what we try to do with each of these cities is we amplify some, you know, special things about these particular cities, or the Muslim communities in these cities, and the organizations as well. I think one notable organization I'm going to mention is Support Life Foundation. That I tried to mention in you know, a number of the proclamations for the amount of food that they've distributed to community members across the Bay Area. I can't remember the number right now, but like I don't know how many tons of food that has been distributed just in Santa Clara County alone, because you know, due to the pandemic. We want to make sure that these organizations are amplified and their good work is amplified because, I mean, mashallah, I mean, it's incredible, and we should celebrate that as well. We should celebrate these groups for being part of the Bay Area, being part of the community. And so, this is an important way to also recognize certain people. Like the statewide designation recognize a number of scientists or elected officials or judges or key notable people that live in the state of California in their resolution. So this is a great way to do that. So we can go more into the Muslim Appreciation Month proclamation. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Muhammad, who's going to talk about how to pass a resolution.
Yep. Thank you, Samina, for all this information. So I'm going to talk about the few steps that we should take before getting a resolution, started working on a resolution when you do start working on one. The first thing is to always form a committee. Ask your friends, ask local community leaders, community activists, and just always remember, if you are doing a resolution, trying to get a resolution passed on for an impacted community, make sure they are involved in the process early on. Make sure that once language is being drafted, they are involved before that, because we don't want to speak for people. We just want to amplify the voices of the marginalized communities we are advocating for. So firstly, I would give you an example. If I am trying to get a resolution passed in Fremont, and I know that there's community leaders that I am in contact with that have good relationships with the local city office, I would get them involved. I would get an advocacy organization or a few local activists involved who are experts on the issue, to make sure that the language and the process we are doing it from is good. This really brings out the self-accountability. When the group is a little bigger, it makes sure that you are not overlooking something major, because language makes a difference at the end of the day. So you want to make sure that we are using the right language, and we are doing it with the support of the broader community, and just not by something on your own, because very often you end up losing track. The second thing is, when you are so the second step would be starting to draft the resolution. Very often, the resolutions you are trying to pass, there's language available on it on the internet. If it's HR 2590, there's local resolutions in support of it already, so you don't have to go through the process of redoing the whole language. You just got to make sure that it fits and it's updated. Same with Muslim Appreciation Month, the language is out there. So when you are drafting this language, use that as a reference, use this as a guide. But also, I also want to amplify, like Samina mentioned, that amplifying other organizers, organizations, masajids, local community groups. So when you are in this process of drafting it at the end, it would be nice to recognize a local mosque, a little nonprofit that has done work in a particular area. In Ramadan, in last year's Ramadan resolutions that Samina worked on, we saw local MSAs get recognition too for their work. So I think it's very important to build the community's confidence that their work is seen, and inshallah that it will be amplified and recognized by the broader community, because very often in our communities, some of the most vibrant community leaders are someone that, like, outside the community haven't interacted with, because they've been so busy serving the community. So after you have your committee, you have your sample language, you want to reach out to elected officials. If you don't have a contact with the local city council, school board, or even student government, email the executive branch and ask them for, hey, we want to get this proclamation or resolution passed, and would you be willing to do it for you? Another approach would be, if you know in your group or in your community, there's an ally, there's somebody, one city council that has amplified work of Muslim community and supported them throughout his tenure, you want to make sure you reach out to them, and you're like, hey, we're introducing this proclamation, can you please can you please introduce it? And 9 out of 10, most of the time they'd be more than happy to do it. You would also want to make sure you did the research on their track record. You want to make sure that like you're not reaching out to somebody that has a track record of opposing your community, of passing bills or resolutions, or just putting out statements that has impacted the community at that is you're trying to advocate for in this proclamation. And once you do all that, find yourself a sponsor, and the sponsor starts championing in it. It's important to rally the community, make sure community is there when this proclamation is presented and passed, to show that our community is very vibrant. It is something, our community has people from all races, ethnicities, cultures, and even employment. Like our community is not just XYZ. It falls across the spectrum of diversity. And hopefully by now, your resolution should be passed. Yeah, I think I'm going back to Samina after this.
Yes, thank you so much, Mohammed. I think you brought up some important points about making sure that different community members are, or that we've reached out to different groups, especially if they are the impacted community groups. I think that's first and foremost in order to build your committee, in order to then draft a resolution that's really reflective of the issue, reflective of the community, and then of course to reach out to those elected officials and find and it goes back to building those relationships with those elected officials, and of course celebrating together is very important too, and getting the word out, letting people know that this indeed happened. So here's some general tips in terms of how to draft a resolution. Oftentimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to write your resolution from scratch. You can look and see other resolutions that have like similar content that have been passed in other cities or other jurisdictions, and you can just modify the language to suit your issue or your need. You can also look at, even if the issues are not even related at all, you can see, okay, hey, like this issue is somewhat similar, maybe we can incorporate that type of language or into your own resolution. Another thing is, again, building relationships with your elected officials prior to asking if they can introduce a resolution. You'll get a lot more attraction if you have those relationships already. But again, it's not just about trying to get something out of the elected official, and that's why you're building that relationship. I mean, I think it's just important to know what's happening in your city, to be involved in your city, to see how you can be an asset as well. But it really is key to have those relationships with electeds. But again, it's not absolutely necessary either. Even if you cold call an elected official and be like, hey, I'm so-and-so, I live in this city, which has a sizable Muslim community, and we have a mosque over here, and we would really love to amplify their efforts, especially around COVID relief, or whatever you want to say. You don't necessarily have to have that relationship, but it just really helps you a lot. Now, it's important to spread the word about the proclamation or the resolution prior to the introduction of it, because you're going to need to have community members come out and speak in support of it, especially if it's a contested issue, such as the one that the NAACP had introduced about the caste-based system. I mean, to have 290 people speaking in support or against this particular resolution, you need to have enough people on both sides, or hopefully on our side, to be speaking on that issue, because that will influence the elected body on whether or not they are going to be supporting or rejecting this particular resolution. And then again, what's that saying? If a tree falls in the woods, did it fall? I don't know. If people don't know about your resolution, then it's not going to make as much of an impact. So it's important to let people know about these particular resolutions, whether it be through social media, whether it be through press releases. It's just important for people to know about it. And again, going back to the issue about finding strength in community partnerships, that's incredibly key. It's not just about relying or reaching out to those who you usually reach out to. It's important to reach out to a variety of groups. We try to, like, let me go back to the Muslim Appreciation Month proclamations. We try to reach out to a number of mosques, not just only one or two mosques that are in the area when we're trying to introduce this resolution or this proclamation. And same thing with other issues, such as like the issue about caste-based system. I mean, I was just in awe of the groundwork that was done by the organizers to reach out to a variety of groups that didn't necessarily have even a South Asian background or whatnot, but they came out and spoke in solidarity. And that's where you build that community power. But I think where you build that community power isn't just about asking people to join and speak out about your issues. It's also about you coming out and speaking about their issues as well. So I have gone to a number of city council meetings to speak in support of protections for those who are undocumented, to make sure that we stop API hate, to speak on a variety of different topics in order to show that we are true allies to them, and that's how it builds that allyship with other communities as well, so that they'll come out and speak for you as well. But again, it's not about just building those relationships so that we can hopefully get something in return. It's just about doing the right thing and just being a good person and speaking in favor and speaking in support of different issues. And then just, remember that this proclamation or this resolution doesn't just have to stop right at that city. It's a way to jump off to create more concrete things, to be able to create either, ordinances that have a change in the law. It can also help to influence higher offices and higher positions, such as like in Congress, a vote that way. So if you have enough local bodies that are pushing for an issue, it is more of a chance of you getting something passed in a bigger body as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Eliza.
Great. Thank you all so much, Samina, Mohammed, and Hania. What awesome insights on how this tactic really is. There's a lot more to it, right, than you might think at first glance. And it's a really great awareness builder. And, it's a really great way to also just build power in the community. And now we want to actually have some discussion with you all. So I'm just gonna stop the recording for a minute. One thing I want to do is invite Brother Sayed as we get ready to close out. I think you have a quick announcement, and as he gets ready to make that announcement, I'm gonna go ahead and do our poll again. Let's see, can I do this correctly? All right, so now that we've kind of had our presentation and discussion, we'd love to see how people feel, if there's been any change on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being least confident and 5 being most confident, how you feel about working to bring people together around a common cause. So let's take a few seconds and everybody can answer again. And then we'll share the results, and then I'm gonna hand it over to Brother Sayed for a second to make his announcement. All right. So, great. So thank you for your feedback. Thank you so much again for your participation. And Brother Sayed, did you wanna go ahead?
Jazakallah khair. So just quickly, I am the lead for ICNA CSJ Bay Area chapter, and if anybody is unfamiliar with ICNA Council for Social Justice, we are a social justice organization, as our name says. Our focus areas are global injustice, hunger, poverty, inequality, Islamophobia, and just immigration policies and Muslim prisoner support project. as part of our global injustice focus area, we're planning to launch a competition by next week. That competition will be attracting creative works from mainly high schoolers and college students in commemoration of the world's Indigenous Day. I think it's called International Day of World's Indigenous People. So the focus of that competition will be Kashmir and Palestine, as well as the indigenous population, especially the local Ohlone and other tribal population. So we want to see some creative works there. The submissions will be due around August 7th, and then August 14th, we are going to have an in-person event, which is quite bold, I guess, these days. But it will be hopefully in a park in an open air type setting, where we're planning to announce the winners of this competition, as well as some educational events around some of these issues that are happening. So would love everybody here to participate in the competition and in the event itself. And I happy to answer any questions and would love it if you guys can share with your friends, families, and your circle. Thank you so much, Sister Lisa. It took a little bit longer. Jazakallah.
All right. Um, so we can go ahead and go through some resources. We just wanted to like uplift these links and documents as y'all take on these really exciting projects. So we've listed a website here, usa.gov/elected-officials. If you go on that website, you can find the contact information for your elected officials. So, you know, as you think about finding a champion in your local government, definitely please use that resource to identify folks. And if you still can't find anyone, then you can email Samina, and her email is also listed there for reference. I will pass it off now.
Thank you, Hania. We have an exciting month coming up. August is Muslim Appreciation Month, and we have a lot of planning and a lot of events coming up. One of the things we are going to do, firstly, we are sending you a paper guide with the text for proclamations that you can work on locally in your towns. And even though it's something that's tailored to California, the principles could be applied in any states, and for a reference could be used anywhere. So please, if you know somebody who would be a great fit to lead local efforts, make sure you direct them towards our page for Muslim Appreciation Month. Link I have just chatted with you. We're also doing a campaign. Muslims in the Bay Area have been here for a really long time, and we have over the past year seen activists, organizers, community leaders, students just, when things got tough, we got out. Food drives, protests, local advocacy efforts. We saw artists present art that really, gave a better understanding of what was going on locally. So we want to recognize these folks. So we are, if you go on our bit.ly, which I'll be setting up, feel free to nominate your friends, your families, your colleagues who have done work that should get a shout out. And inshallah, we'll have a celebration for them and recognize them for their work and their continuous commitment to social justice and leadership locally. So yeah, and in the meantime, if you have any questions or you get a resolution passed, we would love to hear that from you. You can reach me out on my email at msikandar@care.com, and please share pictures. We love seeing pictures, and we would love to amplify them on our social media as well. Yep.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone, again for attending. I'm really excited to see where everyone's efforts go in the future. Please stay in touch with us about your progress with campaigns and any like resolutions you're trying to get passed through social media, and we've shared emails as well. Feel free to sign up to volunteer as well if you're interested in kind of engaging with our work, and continue to engage with future workshops. If everyone could take a moment now to kind of just share one word or a few, like a short phrase about how they're feeling right now after this workshop, that would be great. And I can start. Feel free to use the chat or just speak out and we can popcorn it. So I am feeling energized and excited, and I can popcorn to Aslinur.
Thank you. I am empowered. So I will pass it on. Do I have to pick someone? Elisa.
I am hopeful, and I'll pass it to Abdullah.
I feel like I can do it in one word. Like I learned a lot. Like I can't wait to kind of just go into do action stuff now. I'm really young and I feel like this really helps me get my voice heard and stuff. So thank you.
And anyone else who wants to say what their word is or phrase is, just go ahead and say it or chat it. So we're seeing confident, optimistic, ambitious, motivated. Anyone else? Awesome. Well, yeah, everyone's on the same page. Everyone's feeling good, and sounds like, we have some plans in the works. So again, thank you so much, everybody, like Hania said, on behalf of our entire team, and looking forward to following up with you all. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. Jazakallah.
Thank you.